of Austin Metcalf. He said that this was all based out of self-defense. Turns out witness testimony in trial said it was not, with many individuals reporting that witnesses testified that Carmelo Anthony came to the scene and provoked the incident that then resulted in him stabbing Austin Metcalf. And you can't claim self-defense when you provoke the incident that causes your so-called self-defense. We've got the full trial recap. We've got a nice summation here, courtesy of NBC Dallas-Fort Worth, which gave us some very nice, extensive updates in text because none of this is being broadcast via audio or by video. And we'll get into the nitty-gritty on exactly how this went down. But here's a quick summary from Brooke Taylor, who said today there were two teens who were under the tent who witnessed the 17-year-old Austin Metcalf, the deceased, being fatally stabbed in the chest. One of the teammates testified the stabbing did not look like self-defense at all and said Carmelo Anthony was the one who provoked it. Here is what this sounded like from outside the courthouse in Texas.
Hi, Martha. Well, there are no cameras inside this courtroom, but I could tell you that today one of the key witnesses was a 17-year-old student who was one of Metcalf's athletes and teammates. He was under this tent. He saw it all, so this is going to be really important testimony. He said that he witnessed Anthony walk under the Memorial High School tent, even though Anthony went to a different high school, and that's when 17-year-old Austin Metcalf told Anthony to leave the tent. He testified, quote, "I remember Carmelo refusing to leave and Anthony saying, 'You need to leave,' and Carmelo saying, 'Touch me and find out.'" The prosecutor asked, "Anyone try to gang up on him?" He replied, "No, sir." "Who was provoking?" the prosecutor asked. "Carmelo Anthony," he replied. The witness said, quote, "Austin leans in to push him and Carmelo stabs him." Jurors were also shown body camera footage of Anthony being detained right after the stabbing. He tells the officer, quote, "I'm not alleged, I did it. He put his hands on me. I told him not to." Now, Anthony's defense attorneys argue that he stabbed Metcalf, who was unarmed, in self-defense and out of fear. Meanwhile, Anthony's supporters have long claimed that race is a factor in this case, helping fuel demonstrations. The final jury does not include any black jurors. Prosecutors say this case has nothing to do with race. Meanwhile, we're told inside court right now, we just heard the testimony from a second witness. He was asked by prosecutors, quote, "Did this look like self-defense to you?" He responded, "No, sir." Martha.
And a lot more on that in the actual trial updates. Prosecution, Your Honor, calls Officer Eduardo Cortez. Officer Cortez takes the stand. Yes, I do. Officer Cortez, tell us about your background and experience. He says, "I'm a school resource officer. I work with the Frisco Police Department, and I was born and raised in Louisville, and I'm a U.S. Marine veteran. And I started working with the police department in 2016, but before that, I was with the Allen Police. And on the day, I was actually working at Staley Middle School, which is right next to the stadium at the time of the stabbing. There were no police officers inside the stadium at the time, and so I was the closest one there." Did you know Austin Metcalf or the Metcalf twins? Yeah, I did. I knew him. And as soon as I got the phone call about the stabbing on my portable radio, I immediately ran over to the tent. When I got there, I arrived on scene. When I arrived, two students came up to me, and they said, "Austin's over there." And I saw the tent, and I was heading that way, but I also wanted to look for the suspect, so I did. And once I located Carmelo Anthony, I asked him to raise his hands in the air. I said, "Ray, put him up," and walk toward me. There was a fence separating him from Anthony, so the two walked along the fence together so that Cortez could reach through the fence and pat him down for weapons. How was Anthony's demeanor at the time? Well, he was completely cooperative, quote. And Metcalf's father was seen again with his hand on his face during this testimony. Officer, tell us more about other law enforcement. Well, when they got there, I advised the other officers that I had the alleged suspect detained in cuffs. Kids pointed him out. I saw him. I went to pat him down, put him in handcuffs. So I said, "I've got the alleged suspect." And what happened after that? Well, at that point, Carmelo Anthony said, quote, "I'm not alleged. I did it." Cop says that. Anthony then told Cortez that Austin put his hands on Anthony and that Anthony told him not to. I said, "If you put your hands on me, something's going to happen." I wish we had more quotes on that, but we don't. The interaction was captured on Cortez, the officer's body-worn camera, and he said that after putting Anthony in the squad car, Anthony said and asked if he was going to be okay, and the officer said, "I don't know." He said he noticed an injury on Carmelo's left middle finger where there was, quote, "a little bit of blood," and maybe that's from his finger going up into the knife during the stabbing if it doesn't have a guard. So the testimony continues. Cortez then says that he described the interaction with Anthony at the meet. Jury gets shown surveillance footage from the scene. The video showed steady rain throughout the morning and wet ground, and another still final image from this officer showed Anthony with his hands cuffed behind his back and the cut on the middle finger. Prosecutor named Bill. He says, Mr. Officer Cortez, was it a secret to anyone that you know of that you can't have weapons at a school event? And was it unprecedented to see a student bring a weapon? Cortez says, yeah, it's unprecedented. Everybody knows no weapons at school. They play the body-worn camera from his interaction with Anthony. That's shown in court. Anthony was seen with his hands over his head, presumably in the courtroom. The interaction with the officer, the one that he said that he had with the alleged suspect, is audible in the footage. Body cameras now being played. Yeah, I have the alleged suspect detained in handcuffs. Anthony blurts out, Carmelo, I'm not alleged, I did it. Anthony could be heard crying in the video saying, he put his hands on me, quote, I told him not to, but he put his hands on me. Carmelo is then heard telling the officer that he goes to Centennial and he's in the 12th grade. Officer testifies that Anthony seemed calm, cool, collected, despite moments of the body-worn camera footage where he appears to be crying from the officer. Government calls 17-year-old to the stand. Prosecutor asked this young man, do you like to hold things in your hand when you get nervous? He says, yeah, I do actually. He's up there on the stand with a football in his hands. He showed it to the jury. I'm a little nervous. I just got this football in my hands. I'm just, a little freaked out to be here. He explained that he was in the class of 2027 and was preparing to start his senior year at Memorial High School. He said on the day of the stabbing, he was going to run the 800 meter at the track meet. What happened? Well, I left Memorial at 8 a.m. I went to the Steely Field House with Austin and Hunter. There were 2 other students there, and he named a bunch of people. At least half a dozen other individuals who were under the tent during the track meet. We were all there. We were all running track, and Austin was running the thing, and he explains everything. He then says that Anthony was also under the tent, wearing Centennial gear from the other school, and standing with a student identified as Eddie. He said Anthony and Eddie dap each other up and started talking. Carmelo comes in and is talking to some kid named Eddie. He said the next thing he remembers is people confronting Carmelo Anthony saying, hey man, you probably shouldn't be here. You need to leave our tent. He then told the jury that several team members told Anthony, hey man, you shouldn't be here. This is our tent. And remember from testimony yesterday, these are like locker rooms. So you're not supposed to cross-pollinate across these things. In fact, there are school coaches who are supposed to be there to prevent that from happening. He said Austin Metcalf, who was stabbed, was standing and everyone else was sitting. He recalled the encounter getting more aggressive, saying Anthony refused to leave. Carmelo wouldn't leave and told Austin, touch me and find out. He described both Austin Metcalf and Carmelo Anthony getting angry. He asked the young man, did anyone try to gang up on him? Mob up on him to get him out of the tent? Asked the prosecutor. No, sir. I mean, if anything, minor pushing at most, and that it lasted maybe 2 minutes. So what, did Austin Metcalf take the lead in getting him out? He says, yeah, he did. He took the lead, and he said that he took the touch me and find out as Anthony trying to escalate the situation, to try to provoke him into starting a fight. Did Austin start a fight? He said Austin did not want to fight, but Anthony refused to leave. He then testified that Austin leaned in to push Anthony, and that Anthony just stabbed him. He said he saw the stabbing, but not the knife, and that the knife came from a backpack in Anthony's lap. According to the witness, Anthony had his hands in the backpack, and everyone thought he was bluffing. He says, touch me and you find out, with his hand in the backpack. 17-year-old said in the moments after the stabbing, Anthony then threw the knife, ran down the bleachers and onto the track. Austin fell down the bleachers onto his back, then got up and leaned against the guardrail where he lifted his shirt. He said his chest was bloody and that he looked scared. He agreed with the prosecution that Hunter was not involved in the incident, the brother, and that no one ganged up on Carmelo Anthony. So what'd you do next? Well, I pulled out my phone and I called 911. They played the 911 call for the jury. Call sounds frantic. Witness can be heard saying, my friend just got stabbed. My friend is bleeding everywhere. Come help. Additional footage is then shown of Carmelo Anthony leaving the scene. He agreed that Carmelo ran quickly at first, then slowed down, then resumed running again, saying that he was trying to be anywhere but where he was, and that he, quote, created a problem. He said, now, young man, do you think that Austin deserved to get stabbed? No. And do you think that Anthony, Carmelo, was the one provoking Austin? And he said, yes, he was. He was the one provoking Austin. Anthony was provoking Austin. During cross-examination, defense comes in. He says that I do remember Carmelo Anthony sitting outside the tent and that the coach had a rule that no other teams were allowed at the tent in general. Tell me more about the pushing. So the 17-year-old once again describes the moment when Metcalf pushed Anthony, saying that it caused Anthony to go backwards. And he explained again that he saw Anthony's movement when he stabbed Metcalf, but you didn't see the knife itself, did you? No, I didn't see it. I just saw the movement. Okay. Now, our friend Savannah Hernandez has been in on the scene outside. She's talking to Carmelo Anthony supporters, and we're asked the questions outside. Would you accept the evidence if it shows that Carmelo was not acting in self-defense? And here's what this lady had to say about all that.
If evidence does come out that Carmelo was not in fact fighting for his life when he stabbed and killed Austin Metcalf, do you think that the black community will accept that?
If evidence shows that he did not, no, we're going to stand by ours regardless. They stand by theirs. We're going to stand by ours regardless. I'm a mother first. I'm a black mother. Let me put that on there. I'm an African-American mother. So I have to put away my color first and step into the motherhood. Nobody wants to see their child slain. So I do want to send prayers to Austin Metcalf, their family. But at the end of the day, I got to think like, okay, what did you do to him or whatever to cause this to happen, the reaction? We got to start taking accountability for our kid. Because then again, if my kid, that's why it's a catch-22. If my kid was Carmelo and I feel like his back was up against the wall, I'm going to tell you straight up, better mine than yours. Better mine than yours. So either way it go, everybody loses. A black boy allegedly murdered, and I say allegedly, heavy on the allegedly murdered somebody. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, this is about race. Because if the shoe was on the other foot, they wouldn't give a damn.
Who wouldn't give a damn?
Let me say this. Let's say the community.
So like
The
if,
community.
if
What is she talking about? Derek Chauvin was convicted before he even stepped foot into trial. They played that video on repeat 24/7 for months before his trial even started. The state's witness said that George Floyd died because his heart failed because of drugs and arterial sclerosis, and they never even cared a rip about that. And there was a bad juror on the actual trial who said that lied about his prior actions being at a George Floyd protest wearing a shirt that said, "Get your knee off our necks." Remember that? And the whole country convicted Derek Chauvin. So if the shoe's on the other foot, it's destruction. It's unfettered obliteration of the white guy who didn't kill him. There was no suffocation. The knee on the neck didn't suffocate him at all. It was all made up, and he was convicted before the day even started.
if Carmelo Anthony was the one stabbed and killed by
They
Austin
wouldn't
Metcalf,
give a damn.
I come out here every Thursday and we pray for people going to court because we know this is the final frontier of racism and it's legalized here.
it was announced yesterday that there's no black jurors that were chosen. What are your thoughts on that?
That's why we need God. That's why we need God, and that's why He's going to show who's in control.
And would you be open to giving us your personal insights into the Carmelo Anthony trial and what your thoughts are on it?
I just want justice done. You know, we know nobody go to a track meet to murder anybody. Okay, come on.
Why did he bring a knife
That's an
then?
accident, self-defense. That's what it was.
Self-defense.
I'm not saying the kid should get off free, but first-degree murder? Come on. Basically, he's facing the wrong charge for the crime that was committed.
Do you think Carmelo is innocent? Do you feel like it's been an unfair response to what happened to Carmelo Anthony?
I feel that the justice system always over-respond when it comes to us.
Give me a break.
So
Give me a break.
definitely, I mean, look at
They
the
got more
charge.
fucking freedom than any other
Was
race.
he around in the George Floyd era? Did he miss that whole chapter of American history?
It was self-defense. He was wrestling with two guys. I don't know what
He
the
was wrestling
parameters
two
of it
guys.
were.
No, he wasn't.
So, you know, 2 against 1, that's self-defense.
All right, so thank you, Savannah Hernandez, for those clips.
yeah.
But I think we see how this is going to